So let's start with portables, or portable or window heat pumps. The current definition are really self-contained, self-installed, efficient heating and cooling products for small spaces. This includes plug-in products that actually fit, like the gradient product you see there, or the ones you've actually you roll around and plug into your, can move around in different rooms. So they fall in those kind of two camps right now. I think a lot of what we want to do is help this product evolve to be more affordable, because especially the gradient-like products are premium products. They're not necessarily where we want or need them to be. We need to understand cold climate capabilities for certain parts of California. Dual ductedness, that has to do with the rolling ones that plug in, that we want to make sure we understand these need the dual ducting to make sure they ventilate properly. We really want to figure out if there's potential to add high quality air filtration to these products, so we can really have the added benefit of improved air quality for this audience. Grid enabled, so that they could be have grid benefits there, and use of ultra low GHGs. Right now, a lot of them use low GHG, but we want to see if we can push the envelope over time and getting down to ultra low, maybe even the natural refrigerants down the road. Sorry, GWP. Oops, typo. Sorry about that. My acronym. Okay. Any questions about this product definition? Is this kind of all your understanding? I'm particularly excited about this product. There's a lot of momentum on this product around the country, and I think there's a lot we could do here. It's a really good fit for CalMTA as well. No questions? Okay. Next slide. So to revisit this, the target market is existing multifamily and small single-family home owners and renters. These items typically serve up to 1,000 square feet. So you can imagine for a small home, they could be a useful tool. Possible leverage points we've identified to date, the DOE test procedures that they're working on and thinking about right now. CEE, Consortium for Energy Efficiency, the national group, is been working on this as well in partnership with NYSERDA and the gradient type product. Energy Star, this is an opportunity to work with them on this. The IRA funding, this could possibility, these products could get IRA incentive. I mentioned NYSERDA. NIA has been a great source of, Christopher Diamond there has been working on this product for a while, so it's a great opportunity to partner with them as well. The retail channels, things like ESRPP, but also, the online marketplaces. I forget the name of them. There's a PG&E one, and SoCal Edison has one as well, right? They may not be targeting this product right now, but over time, if we can get a good product out there at a right price point, this could be part of those online platforms. We see a great opportunity to work with multifamily programs that are already in the market, trying to help folks get electrified, and the public health programs, especially if we can get air filtration into these. Potentially, this could be another tool. In fact, this idea came from Bay Area 350. Is that I think the name of it was, they're running a small pilot on this in Bay Area right now. So this came from through the R5 process. Any questions on this one? Okay.
I have for the target market, it may just to benefit you and having this, pushed through and approved is maybe make a note of existing multifamily, that don't have a central air heating system, and then maybe like small, hard to reach multifamily properties, because what we find is those have the in-unit window, the old AC units. So you want to be like retrofitting those.
With that.
And then also public housing would also be a good target market. So recommendation is just to be more specific, because it will help you
Got it.
with your
Yeah, I think
approval.
in the logic model we tried to be a little more specific, but yeah, good point. Thank you. Randall, were you raising your hand? Oh, no? No. Okay. All right, let's keep going. So I know this is really hard to read. And I'm going to pass out. We just did a handout on these, so if you could pass those down. So I want to do a quick setup for these because what we're doing here, these are conceptual logic models. These are not the full-blown logic models that you will see in the next phase. This is our first swag at kind of what are the high-level barriers, what are the high-level opportunities, what might be some interventions, and that's based on what we've learned already, but also based on MT experience and what typical interventions have worked in the past. The outcomes fall straight from what kind of outcomes do we see in the market right now. They do not have market progress indicators built to them, but this is where we would start to build after we know more, we learn more, we identify data sources. We would be able to build market progress indicators off of our outcomes over time. And typically in a more formal logic model, you would see outcomes in a time sequence, so 5, 10, 15 years, right? And they would build on each other. And then you have long-term impacts that we expect from this initiative. So really just a first step at looking at this, and we want to dive in deep on each of these and talk through kind of what we're thinking. And one thing I wanted to mention, this is especially true for ERTUs, and Alexis will talk about this. We did these logic model sessions in Mural where the whole team, we had, for this one even, we had, maybe 30 barriers we identified, right? But we had to consolidate, we had to prioritize, we had to look at what we thought was the most impactful in the time that we have. So a lot of this is consolidated. So over time, these get more blown up, more details where you learn more as you go, right? And then the market characterization work and the pilot work that we do in the next phase and the product assessment work might change a lot of this. Most likely it will, it should, right? We'll learn more, we'll be able to be more refined, and we'll also learn about what sequence of events we should be doing, what needs to come before another intervention. So I just want to give you that kind of high level overview. Did I miss something, Alexis? Did I get it? Did I miss anything there? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's dive in. Next slide. So for portables and window units, we kind of summarized what we saw the barriers in the market to be in these 5 big buckets. Let's start over here on this side because the technical challenges, I think, are really the first area where we're going to need to start understanding more. What are the technical opportunities, these products? What can manufacturers actually do? These are all things that we really need to dive into. And as I mentioned earlier, we want to make sure that cold climate is addressed. So I think the gradient product is just starting to be able to deal with cold climate. We want to figure out adding air filtration. That can get pretty expensive. That can get and change the design of these products. So we want to understand from manufacturers and others what's the possibility here at certain price points. How to manage condensate, noise abatement. We've heard some of the products now. I said that were sorry. Noise abatement, and for some of these products are pretty noisy. You don't want these. Like my window AC unit is so noisy. Like it's a toss up every heat of events where I have to, can I sleep in a cool room or can I sleep in a room that doesn't actually, keep me up all night? And what is the possibility for ultra low refrigerants? That's another one. This is probably one of the biggest barriers, and we want to tackle that out of the gate, is the thought. Consumer awareness over here, obviously that's a common barrier you're going to see across the board here. Higher cost is typically a barrier as well, especially for these new Windows saddle units. They're pretty high. And we want to, what is the cost compared to what we're trying to change, behavior we're trying to change? We want somebody to go buy one of these instead of a window AC unit, for example, or a space heater. we see a barrier right now is these products aren't really included in California programs right now. So how do we make sure that there's the tools and information, data that's necessary that they can be included in programs and pushed out to customers? Product differentiation and testing protocol. This product is on the cooling side, has a test procedure and differentiation, but not the heating component of it, right? So we have work to do there with, and DOE is already working on this. There are other parties that are very involved with this. NIA has been involved with this, Christopher. So there's an opportunity there to have a seat at the table and really push for what's needed for California. I think those are kind of the high-level barriers. Any comments, any thoughts when you had reading these about what might be missing? Oh, okay. Hi, Christy. Go ahead.
Hi, yeah, my question is on the costs. So a barrier, it says as higher cost of separate window ACs and space heaters. Does that first cost or does that include operation? I mean, are we talking, is the efficiency there to reduce is the bill savings there already, or is that a barrier?
I think that is a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I think it's incremental cost. Okay. Incremental cost to what a window unit would be. Randall.
My understanding, this is Randall. My understanding is there is a federal standard for portable AC.
Right.
That includes heat pumps. Okay, so.
But it doesn't regulate the heating component of that. Like the gradient product is regulated, but only the cooling.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Which of course has ramifications down to Energy Star, right? You know, if we want to get an Energy Star label for these products, we need to deal with that.
This is Jeff Harris. I really like what you guys have put together here. I think there's a real opportunity to make this a fairly low-cost heat pump alternative for a portion of the conditioned space. That's way cheaper than ductless heat pumps. And now it may not deliver the same level of performance and savings, but I mean, the average ductless heat pump installation now is still $5,000 in our region for one zone.
Yeah.
And this could easily be, I mean, at scale, and we're talking millions of units could be sold each year. The cost could come down well below $1,000 for these. I have my idea in my own house, a portable room air conditioner that's the variable speed version of this that could be a heat pump if it had a reversing valve. And I got it at Costco for under $400.
Yeah.
So for a few $100 more, you could put a reversing valve in that. I'm just saying that down the road, thinking of this as a market transformation target, there's a lot of levers to pull here that would get to scale, which would drive costs down very rapidly if we think about this as a consumer product. I do have a question, and that is, and this may not be for you all, but I don't know how, so ESRPP is a legitimate vehicle to drive this into the retail channel using our relationships that ESRPP has with retailers and manufacturers. But that would have to be, as I understand it, since PG&E's Codes and Standards team runs that program equivalent in California, that would have to be coordinated with them somehow. Can you speak to any conversations you've had or what your plans for coordinating with PG&E's ESRPP team? It's RAA here in California, RAA. Retail Appliance Accelerator or something like that.
It is called out right now as a potential intervention, potential pathway for customers, and we want to test because it's already there and because of the situation of transition. We want to test the use of that platform for both this and induction. And so we, I think the next phase is to talk to the implementers of ICF to try to work on the data side to understand what products they actually already stock here. What is this a viable data stream for these products? That's what we want to, and also we want to figure out if we can pivot ESRPP from an ESJ point of view and use zip code specific data and targeting in stores. That's another opportunity that we're looking at, but we haven't gotten very far yet in the conversations.
I just have a quick question. Does anybody on the expertise know? Is it loud? I was just curious on the noise because you guys mentioned about the bigger ones.
can be,
Is the
yeah.
portable?
It can be loud. Yeah, I've heard that as a barrier.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, noise abatement is an issue.
So I'll just say this from my own personal experience, as I have one of these from an air. It's an air conditioner, but it could be. It would. I assume it will function more or less the same. If it's cooling down a room that has been hot, it ramps up to its maximum capacity to try to cool down the room very quickly. But once it achieves set point, it's very quiet because it's variable speed fans and variable speed compressors, and it's literally once the room is at temperature. If it's just chugging along, it's in our bonus room where we have our TV and stuff, and it's not a problem to watch TV and the full experience. It's very quiet. So that's the future we would want to see.
And
So
I
it's
think
possible. I just want to say that it's possible.
the grade.
This is Cyan. I have one too. It's in our bedroom, and it doesn't bother us at all.
Sure. And I think the gradient product has tried to deal with that with the window saddle piece where the guts of the noisy stuff is on the outside. That's my understanding.
Yeah, the technology is there to make it a very at least as good as ductless heat pumps because they have one of those in another room. So it's at least as good as that.
Great. Okay. Any more questions on barriers? Yeah, Randall.
I made a number of comments on this one already, so I don't know. I assume they've been addressed, but under product differentiation, I think a big barrier, because I bought a room AC and the shopping process is pretty painful.
Right.
Although I needed a cooling only unit, which I ended up getting, I was looking at the ones that were heat and cooling versus heat pumps.
It's hard
And
to
there
tell.
was absolutely no indication for 99% of them whether the heating was heat pump or electric resistance.
That is a
So
problem.
it's a huge problem. So I think, and I don't know if that's an FTC issue to get the right label on them. I don't know if it's I don't know what the answer is other than it's a huge barrier.
We need to.
And there's a
into that.
lot of manufacturers that you've never heard of selling these things, especially at the big box stores. There's just dozens and dozens of different brands that, as an HVAC engineer, you go, who are these? What is this? Who is this? And so it's kind of hard to do research on these products as well, and if you go to top 10 room AC or room heat pumps, you probably you won't find them at your local big box, for example. And I don't know if it's localized or what the deal is. So again, I made these comments before, and I should have asked this question earlier, but and maybe you have it listed somewhere, but is this primarily for existing homes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Existing multifamily and small homes.
Okay. So that's probably because I keep bringing up PTHPs, and I assume that's one of the reasons you don't consider PTHPs in this.
Oh, okay.
And I think and I'll just, I made the case before, but I'll just say it one more time. There are, I'm going to say, hundreds of thousands or millions of existing PTHPs out there because they've been installed in new construction for at least the 4 decades I've been, in the business. And I personally specified, thousands of them. And I'm sure a lot of them that I originally specified are still there, with a whopping, EER of 7 when new, yeah. And all the PTHPs have the same, cabinet size so that they can be just, they're meant to be pulled out and just placed. So, like if you're a motel operator, you have 3 in storage, and if one fails, you just pull it out and put a new one in. So there's a huge retrofit opportunity with that market also. So
Submit your ID.
Well,
I guess it may need to be a separate idea, for both new construction as well as retrofit. Anyway.
Jeff, Paris.
I think one of the barriers that didn't come out as clearly as I think it might need to is this is not a perfect product. Either the window units or the rollies, as we call them, the portables that you roll around. There are still things in terms of aesthetics, actual performance in the actual room setting that need to be improved. There are obviously other things to work on that Randall just mentioned, getting an Energy Star label, which is contingent on getting a test procedure, et cetera. There's all these other building blocks. And we also need to get a better product in most cases.
Yes.
So I didn't see the product itself as I didn't see that in the logic model that there needs to be an improved product, and maybe I just didn't
should
read it.
fall into, we have a technical barrier. We have all these technical barriers. We have some new manufacturers are entering the market that could be disruptors like Gradient. And then there should be a whole interventions around manufacturer engagement, which would really be dealing with that. But maybe it needs to be more articulated.
The key point I was trying to raise was just the aesthetics of the product and its adaptability to different room configurations, different window configurations. So
right, it's not for every window.
Right. And the wheelies with tubes and stuff going around may not aesthetically be pleasing. So
right.
This is Cyan. I just had just to build on that a little bit, that the way that ours fits in our window is with this little thin plastic strip, which has absolutely no insulation or value at all.
Okay.
And there's also a lot of leakage that I like monkeyed it around with all kinds of weatherization and stuff, but not every homeowner is going to do that. So for me, that's a huge issue for the actual efficiency of it.
Okay.
I'm gonna let Elaine finish. I think let's do this. Let's have her go through everything, and then if you guys can just write down your questions or comments, and we'll do it kind of at the end.
Okay. Yeah, we'll keep going, and we'll pause at the end of the logic model session. Okay, how about that part? And I have till 12:30. Is that right? For this one? Oh, okay. All right. Next slide, please. Okay, some of the quick opportunities we see that could be leverage for this market. So I mentioned new entrants in the market like Gradient and a lot of momentum around improving this product. I think that's something we need to really take advantage of. The retail product platforms and the online EE marketplaces, also extra regional partnerships like NYSERDA has been really going after this big time, CE, NIA, others that we want to work with on this. We think one of the benefits is this occupant self-purchase installation and ownership. there is this idea that a renter could take this and go to another place, right? Like they might do with a window AC unit. Federal test procedures in development, a lot of existing programs in place that are trying to get to this audience, and the public health programs. And then the public health and climate resilience NEIs, or non-energy impacts of this product, also could be great leverage points. Okay, keep going. So these are just some of the possible interventions. We've talked a little bit about some of this. These are often fairly common things that we do in MT programs. So starting with manufacturer engagement, right? We just talked a little bit about that. We would want to do that with top manufacturers, and we would learn a lot, Randall, to your point earlier, through the market characterization. Who are all of them? Who are the leaders? Who are the ones who are potential disruptors? We would kind of get that market map through that research and figure out who we want to start working with more quickly. And we could do that in partnership with others, right? It isn't just us. Although California is big and has huge influence, we want to do that with others as best we can, and really understanding what is the possibilities for improvement of this product, and understanding that and trade-offs with cost and things like that. Whole host of stuff there. Working with retailers, and I think this pilot that we're proposing is just to really understand, can we use ESRPP for this product or these online platforms, and be a source of data, which is super important to figure that out in the next phase, right? Where are we going to get our data? Leverage current programs, obviously, we talked about that. I think there's a big piece around building awareness about what these products are. To your point, Randall, even amongst the EE community, people call this product something different. I think CEE calls it room conditioning units. And it took me a while when I was reading documents, like, wait, they're not talking about ACs, they're room conditioning units. But it's a heat pump, but they're not using the term heat pump. So a lot of work around that. Thinking about who are the key influencers, like maybe property managers, public housing authorities, folks like that could be real leverage points to get the word out on the benefits of these products. Once we have good product, that will probably come later. Product differentiation, obviously we need to work on that. And there is this opportunity. I think others are very, focused on this product because of the potential to leverage the IRA funding for it. And federal standards process is, of course, super important to this product. Next slide, please. So outcomes, as I mentioned, we would have outcomes from these interventions. A lot of these are connected. Like you have barriers, you have interventions that are going to be trying to target, overcoming those barriers, and then you have an outcome that you're trying to see what's going to happen in the market. And that's where we're going to, over time, build our market progress indicators on, understanding how these are progressing in the market after our interventions are deployed. So we would look at what is the product mix, what multiple products are readily available, which include the features that we need. What local programs are actually pushing it out there, and increasingly can track that over time. It just increased overall the CBOs and consumers and landlord awareness. Like, do people really understand that this is a viable product? When there's a heat event, can they promote that to they understand this product and will promote that to to the occupants and owners. Prices, obviously, that's one we want to track over time, and we expect, if we can, with economies of scale, get to some price declines with this product. Energy Star label and the ratcheting up of that's something that we would track over time and expect as an outcome. And of course, market share, and how these products, the sales of these, do they start supplanting the sale of window AC units, things like that. These are all potential outcomes. Next slide, please. Long term, we really are looking for, we have a federal and state test procedures in place for this unit, and it becomes the norm, right? People understand it, they are aware of it, the price is at a good point, they're available where they're shopping, that this is what they buy instead of having a separate electric resistance AC unit. This would be the product that they would go to. Okay, I'm going to pause there for a few minutes. And I know Jennifer and Randall, you had some questions earlier.
Yeah, I was just going to pile on with the ducting problem. I mean, I went through the process like Jeff in buying one and installing one, and when you don't have double hung windows, there's zero possible solutions to run your ducts. And again, and I mentioned this before, I did a whole bunch of research on whether to get a single duct or a double duct system, and came to the conclusion that a double duct is far more efficient. So I think that needs to be communicated in the labeling or the efficiency or so. And by the way, there's no efficiency ratings on anything, but I think you've covered that well enough. So, efficiency is just something you have to assume or not worry about. But knowing that a double duct is more efficient than a single duct, maybe get the double duct, which doubles the problem with the ducting problem in the first place. So, and I think I mentioned how I solved that before. That worked out pretty slickly, but I'm not going to say that one
I think that
again.
has implications for indoor air quality too, right? If you need a double ducting to make sure you're not exhausting. No, that's okay. I just thought that was
not really. It's just no, it's just a matter of where you get the intake air. So it's just sucking air. I mean, I guess if to the extent that you're pulling air out of your room and blowing it outside with a single duct, then you're causing other air to leak in somewhere that could be dirty, dusty,
sure.
unfiltered, etc. So, yeah, I guess there's an IQ issue there as well. In the I forget which one it is, the strategic interventions. I think it'd be useful to know where people buy these things. Um, are they online? I obviously most people are going to shop online for these, or from a local retailer. Most and why people buy these? If they're buying it because there's a heat wave, and that's of course when I wanted to buy one.
Mm-hmm.
And you start visiting big box stores and all the stuff they say they have in stock, none of it's in stock. The shelves are empty, so and then you have to do something desperate and rash, and you buy something you may have researched the heck out of and want the most efficient one, but you end up buying the least efficient
Right.
one because that's all they have and you're hot. So I think there's some real purchasing issues that are really important here in terms of how they're bought, where they're bought, how they're bought, why they're bought.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that kind of research is necessary. And again, one of the outcomes is better labeling and or description of what you're getting. And
I think we'll get a
yeah.
really good sense of that through the market characterization study. It won't probably answer every question, but we'll dig into a lot of those questions.
I was just going to comment, in addition to not having double hung windows in the rooms that I would want the unit in, I live in Oakland and those little connector things are not very secure. So there's no way I would put one of these up and go to sleep.
Interesting. Good point. Okay. Fred, go ahead.
Hi. I think that there's some, I'm getting an echo. I think I'll just try to ignore it. I think there's some sort of early stage issues that you probably want to list as barriers. And when we did a field test of these, I'd recommend at some point, and that's another question, there's a field test to look at issues like all parts in box, wiring works, installation kit is functional, and unit basically performs because there's a lot of people making these, and our experience with heating and cooling product and other complex products that lots of people are making is they don't all work. And that sort of says something to the state of the market. But it really does take different work to figure out whether the product is stabilizing into something you can sell and put in, and it works out okay. I think that's true of some of the AC-only units now. I'm not sure it's true of some of these heating and cooling units. And you really need to have people in this sort of science project framework trying to install these in various homes and seeing what happens and seeing if they work. And then that leads to another issue, which is, when is the product stabilizing enough that you want to mass market it? I think you've got a lot of great long-term goals for this thing, but if you can get a product that you can install and it works and it's efficient and it meets some of your higher level goals like refrigerant and air filtering,
Right.
you've got something that you should have in utility marketplaces. I you know I don't know that I've seen the research to prove that we're there yet. So I'm harkening back to our research with heat pump water heaters, where a lot of the products that we put in the field failed for a decade or two. And then somebody invested enough in making them work. This may not be as complex because you don't have plumbing, but I think some of the same issues apply. So you got to make sure you got something that is a mass market functional product that meets basic efficiency requirements.
I could imagine this, Christopher Diamond and I've talked a little bit about this, that there might have to be tiers with something like this, that in the next 3 years, we have a product that meets this. It's good enough at this point, but then over time, these evolve and get higher tiers.
But before that, you have a product that meets basic customer service
absolutely.
requirements.
Yes. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, I think my comment sort of leads off of that little conversation, because I was going to just raise the issue of just sort of broad philosophy of how we structure these, which I think this technology highlights, which is you put together the logic, the market diagram, and it's complicated. And there's a lot of different parts to this. And so my issue is not really just a question, is about what's our philosophy for intervention, because we could be we're going to do all these different interventions, and we're going to make sure that these products are designed with all the right components and available in the right outlets and installed in the right ways and maintained to ensure that the savings are achieved long term. Or we could say, look, we're going to focus on maybe a more like a golden carrot, a very strategic, that we're going to make sure that a $450 unit with low GWP and high efficiency, is available in the market and sold.
Right.
And so there's just a question of philosophy. What are we going to really take on all pieces of this, or are we going to focus on very specific pieces of it?
I think
or
it's
something in between.
I mean, others welcome to answer that, but I would answer that with it. I think it's all of them, but not at the same time. There's a sequence of them. Maybe the golden carrot piece starts in the beginning, and then over time, it's inclusion into utility programs across the board. I mean, they have to be sequenced thoughtfully, but I think if you're going to tackle a whole market from a market transformation point of view, you need to address as many of those barriers and interventions over time, but not at the same time, and they build on each other. That's, I guess. Okay. Any other questions at this point? Okay, next slide, please. So just a little summary of we did some external program review of what's happening in the California market on this, that are both areas that we will definitely need to collaborate and coordinate with others, but also areas of leverage for sure. So CalNext, some of the EPIC research on this product will definitely be stuff that we won't need to do. They've done a lot here. There's more research we probably definitely need to do, and some of which they might be able to do, some of which we're going to do in the next phase. Certainly the programs we've already talked about, targeting affordable housing, income qualified residents, are areas we really want to work with over time once we have the right products, right? The marketplaces, we've talked about that, and ESRPP, and then of course the national collaboration that is ongoing out there that we want to work with. Okay, next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah, sorry, we're almost done with portable. close. So these are some of the research needs that have been called out in the advancement plans. So you have the market characterization study that Cadmus will be doing, which includes the baseline forecast. We have quite a bit of product assessment work to do here to understand what's possible, who's doing what in the market, impacts to costs, things like that. Capacity, seasonal capacity, cooling and heating, refrigerant impacts. I was talking to Christopher about that. He says, that's refrigerant to get to ultra low is going to be really hard, and that might take over time. Or if we're going to try to get air filtration, that might really drive the cost up. So we might have to prioritize some of these features over time, which could feed into a tiered spec of some kind as well. Working on understanding the testing, labeling, rating, and product tiers to this. Connectivity and grid flexibility, and understanding the impacts on indoor air quality. And then we want to test, because we have this opportunity with ESRPP transitioning, can we work with that infrastructure that's already in place to target ESJ communities and to gather data and to build continued relationships with retailers on these products? Certainly not the only channel to get these out there, but we think it's probably definitely a good piece of the pie. Any questions on that? Jeff?
Jeff Harris, just clarifying question. Is the retail pilot only for ESJ zip codes, or would it be to try to put it into ESRPP as a broad category with some additional incentives or something to target the ESG communities?
My sense is that it's the former, but my sense is it's a former probably, but we want to gather data on the whole market. Maybe it's not, it's broader than that, but I think at this point, that's the way we're thinking about it.
Okay. Unrelated to that, Jeff Mitchell. On the refrigeration front, the opportunity to move to ultra low refrigerant or GWP refrigerants, which are typically flammable, right? So there's a lot of code and policy issues to kind of work through in the US on that. These products, because of, they're, sealed at the factory, this could be a, kind of an early entry in the US to this type of refrigerant. So I see it as a real opportunity.
I think it would be cool also to test, turning in your old horrible AC instead of leaving it on the sidewalk, right? I think you could couple some interventions with something like that. Would be really interesting. Yeah. Next slide, please. Here's the overall budget. 1.4 together for next year. All three components of the research for next year. I don't know that we need to discuss it, but it's there in your. Yeah. Okay. Well, if you have more, welcome to reach out later. Next slide, please. So next steps, we're working, just already starting on what does a pilot really look like. What we put into the advancement plan was really some ideas, really high level. And I think what we're working on now is much more detailed, talking to people, what's actually viable, who's already doing something here that we could work with quickly on. We want to get these pilots wrapped next year. So that's an important aspect, who good partners might be. So we're working on that. We're going to talk to the ESRPP folks and figure out what's viable there. Again, start the coordination with external programs. We've already begun a little bit of that. Implement our research scopes we talked about. Some already started to talk to DOE about understanding what's happening here, what kind of role we can play with that process going forward with partners, and like to be able to start to talk to some of the manufacturers and just get a sense of, talk to the Gradient folks, talk to some of these others that understanding about letting them know who we are and what program might look like with them.